my cuckoo clock just going.
Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio with your hosts, Deb and Gregg. Hello, everybody. I'm the G-Man.
Hey!
That is Deb, and we are here on Midwest Paratalk Radio, episode 3 of our comeback tour.
But I told everybody we've resurrected Midwest Paratalk from the dead.
Right.
This reminds me of that theremin this weekend. I was at that conference. Did I show you that video?
Yeah, you showed me that video. I told you it sounded like some Star Trek shit. Yeah,
man, it was cool. This dude playing the theremin like on the like I think he was like above the restaurant gazebo, like up on a balcony. So and everybody was out on the lake. People were like laying in the grass and laying in reclining chairs and stuff. There were a whole bunch of people out there doing a sky watch. Blah, I can't even talk. And this dude starts playing the theremin, and it was like, I don't know, it was just reminding me of like Star Trek or something. It was funny,
right? Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm thinking if there's anybody in that hotel that wasn't at the UFO conference this weekend, they were freaking out.
Right. That would be a little bit off-putting. Did he just out of the blue just started playing it? I mean,
well, now he was invited to come in. One of the people that was at the conference knew him and asked him if he would come and play, and so he did. I mean, he, and it was a good time. It was fun, but it just that might be the first time I ever heard one live and in person. I mean, I've heard him on TV,
Oh, yeah.
And it's standing outside in the dark under the stars next to the water and the dock at the lake and having that just coming out of the sky, basically, because he was like up on a balcony. It was just a little bit surreal and kind of cool, maybe. It's like, calling them down.
Right. Oh, speaking of calling them down, I watched Encounters on Netflix. You and I have been talking about it, and I know you watched it. What did you think?
Sure did. I thought it was pretty good. I was impressed. I kind of knew a little bit about the aerial school. I'm friends with one of the guys over in the UK who was he knows some of the actual kids that are now adults, and he, as a matter of fact, he has credit on the roll credits in the movie for his, his input.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then I wasn't as familiar with the second with the second episode in that story.
Yeah.
Again, over in the UK, and again involved a lot of kids. Now, I didn't hardly know anything about that story. I don't recall hearing anything about that. Mm-hmm. Now, the last one, I don't know. I kind of felt confused a little bit in a way. That was the one about Fukushima, and the video was fascinating. The video, the actual video of the UFOs over Fukushima. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize. I'd heard about it, but I don't think I'd ever actually seen the video. That was amazingly wild.
That was,
of course, I knew that the same people had reported seeing UFOs over Chernobyl, and the fact that they were talking about how a UFO would appear over a part of Fukushima, and the radiation level dropped from 3,000 down to 800.
Yeah, 800
within a few minutes time, and it appears that if whatever that was attempting to correct the issue or at least contain it, to prevent further damage. And I'm like, that, that's almost kind of makes you feel better about it, relieved, like maybe somebody is watching over us, because come on, we are no most people are just kind of batshit crazy. So,
right. And Jack and
including
up, yeah,
including me, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, for real.
Mm.
Yeah, I liked all the episodes. Let me digress. I enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I enjoyed a half of the fourth one because the lady was batshit crazy.
That does that got to me because I was like, what? Why is she even on there? Because none of that what she was saying. I was trying to connect it to how everything else was being talked about, and I'm like, why is she even in here? Is she here to make everyone look that way? I mean, I don't understand. Another thing I have never heard during the Ariel school story. You know, the guy who says, well, those kids didn't see a UFO. Me and my friend we made that up because we didn't want to go to
Yeah,
our
yeah,
language class. And, you know, so I'm sorry to tell them they're all lying. And I'm like, first of all, I'd never heard of this guy before. I'd never heard of that angle. Now, I'm not going to lie. It's been a while since I've been in the UFO. I mean, I pulled out for quite a few years and just didn't want to know anything. But still, I mean, that's a pretty good story that I've heard before in the past. And I've never heard uh, anybody say that all the kids just made it up.
right,
60 people reported this. And I don't think that 60 people are liars all at the same time.
right,
Even with kids, this guy swears up and down. They just kind of like tossed, oh, there's a UFO over there. And then all the kids run and scream and they're all scared and they didn't even see anything. I don't believe that,
right,
especially after Dr. Mack came and talked to them and the interviews that some of those kids did. They all said the same thing. And then years later, the teacher who didn't want to have anything to do with it and didn't want to talk about it, now she has her own
right.
story.
Yeah,
I don't know why they included. I mean, I get they want to do stuff for balance, I guess. You know what I mean? They want to show all viewpoints. But if you're going to show all the viewpoints and then all the viewpoints are credible and sound rational or reasonable, even if it's a bizarre story, but then the other side just sounds batshit crazy, as with the lady, and then this other guy. I don't know. I got a vibe from him. I just didn't feel like he was. I didn't feel like he was being truthful about his story.
right. Yeah.
So
Oh, he was
you know,
in his through his
you're gonna
teeth.
have to. You're gonna have to bring some more other viewpoints that are a little more
Credible.
credible than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
That's
overall,
yeah.
I was tickled to death to see something um, that seemed to treat the subject as a whole respectfully. And I was really surprised to see Steven Spielberg's name on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was too. You should totally your ufologists put something together like that. I really think you should. I think, and I say this because if I've known Deb a long time, I mean we've known each other 10 plus years,
Yep.
and I told you this when we were doing the shows before, and I mean I'll tell everyone, and I've told everyone that I've talked to about you to them is that when I first met you, we clicked. It was like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
Never once in my head did I feel like your story wasn't credible. You know what I mean? I mean, and hearing you tell your story about what happened to you during that time never wavers. And I found that individuals who are talking from the side of their necks will waver their stories. They'll embellish their stories as time goes on. And you've never done that, which in my mind, I mean, and I always knew you were credible, but in my mind, that solidified that thought in my head is like, Deb's not bullshit. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that with the people in the UFO community that you've associated yourself with, I think it would be a good idea if somebody was to, you know, you and your group, the UFO people, would get together and do like a documentary like that. I think that would be really cool. I would watch that. I'm just, you know,
Are you talking about my story or about UFO stuff in general?
UFO stuff in general. I mean, if you
I would
have,
love to do that. I mean, I'd love to go and, like pick 3 or 4 really good cases, focus on those, interview a bunch of people regarding those, I mean,
right?
I
Yeah.
think that would be cool. I would, because I want to get I want to get it out there
Hmm.
for mainstream people to hear and see, so that because a lot of times it triggers people. I mean, there were a lot of first timers at this conference. I was at the Michigan UFO con this weekend up at Houghton Lake. I'm saying it right. Uh, and I was saying it like a Hoosier. I was saying Houghton, and they're like, "Don't say Houghton, it's Houghton." I'm like, "Okay, okay." And I was at Houghton Lake. It was beautiful. The resort that was where it was at was beautiful. Everyone was wonderful,
Yeah.
and I met a lot of great people. And there were a lot of new people there, and obviously they didn't know who I was. My case is 40 years old, and Bud Hopkins in the book Intruders. My experience was in 1983. That was 40 years ago. Jesus Christ, I'm old. And
Yep.
and but is a whole new generation of people out there who want to research things, and there's a whole new generation of people out there that want to tell their story. And the kids of today, or I call them kids, the people of today want to tell their story. They're not scared like we were back in my day. I mean, they are. It's still there, that fear of, but they're a lot braver now than they were back then. And they're taking more chances. They're coming out. They're being seen. They're talking about it more. And every time something like this thing that we just saw on Netflix the other night comes out, it empowers a whole bunch more people, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes them feel like they're not alone, and that's good. And when it's done as well as this was done overall, I mean, I can't speak to the facts of these cases that they chose, but overall, I think the production was well done. Um, but I would
I
love to do that. And regarding me telling my story, I've been telling my story for 40 years. And
right.
it's easy to keep track of the facts when you're telling the truth. You don't ever have to keep up with lies when you're telling the truth. And
Right.
every time I tell my story, I almost kind of relive it in a way. It not the fear part of some of it, but and when like I only had 45 minutes to speak at the conference this weekend, which I was thankful for. I mean, I appreciated that they wanted to even take the time to listen to me. Anytime I get anywhere between 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a half, I think the most I've ever had was an hour and a half. But I'm 64 years old, and I've had 60 years of experiences, and a lot of them I remembered. I've written down over the years so I wouldn't forget. And
Right.
some of them are burned into me, like June 30, 83. I could close my eyes and just relive that whole evening all over again. When I tell that story, and I always tell that one because that's how everyone came to know me. That's how I came to be in this field, right?
Right.
And that's where I start for all the people that don't know who I am or how I got here. And which is growing numbers day by day, as time
Mhm.
passes. Anyway, it's really hard for me to tell my story in an abbreviated manner because my mind doesn't let me think that way because I'm reliving it, and I
Right.
feel, but yet I've got a whole bunch of shit to talk about in 45 minutes. And this is just where I have to start. And I don't want it to be the whole damn thing because I have
Right.
so much more to say. So I
Yeah.
have to make an abbreviated version of it, which means I got to leave a bunch of shit out that's not pertinent. But then in my heart, I feel like I'm I'm not telling the truth because I'm not telling all of it in my head the way I I live it and I see it. You know what I'm saying? It's very
Yeah.
difficult to trim that down, but I'm getting better at it. I basically just tell if you want to hear the whole story with all the little details, you can go to my website and it tells it in more detail and stuff. But I appreciate you saying that. I've heard other people say that before about other people who tell their story. For I heard Betty Hill talk, and I read her books and everything. Her story never changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I've listened to Travis Walton give the same talk, or similar talks over the years, and basically his doesn't change. I mean, it's not hard to do when you're telling, what you remember, but it is hard when you only have 45 minutes to tell
Right.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I have a good BS meter check.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell when people are lying to me or not being 100% truthful. And that, like I said, I mean, that's one of the probably the biggest things with me when you and I first met and listening to your story that, well, wait a minute, she's not bullshitting.
You weren't really before I met you. You were really all paranormal, weren't you? You really weren't into UFO stuff, were you?
No, I mean, as a kid, I would go out and look into the sky, thinking maybe I'd see something. I was the original Star Wars kid. So, I mean, I saw A New Hope in theaters in 1977. And after that point, I was always with my eye to the sky, seeing if I could see anything and whatnot, but never even probably 25% of what I was doing was just looking in the sky. I didn't have any other real inkling or desire in UFOs and was 100% paranormal. And then after you and I started working together with M. Ripa and then ended up doing our show together, you kind of opened the door for the whole thing from, UFOs, paranormal. And what I think is interesting about that is after we did that and I started getting into it more, I felt like I was making some correlations between paranormal activity and UFO activity.
Yeah.
There were UFOs spotted, if I remember right, and it's been a while since I've read anything really paranormal. But when the Mothman stuff was going on, there were UFO sightings there.
Yeah.
When natural disasters and whatnot, their UFOs are spotted around natural disasters as well.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
a lot of the places that we have investigated paranormally, some of the homeowners or residents on property mention seeing things in the sky. So I like I said, after we started our first round of Midwest Paratalk Radio way back in 2013, 10 years ago. Wow.
We're old.
We are old.
Wow.
But after that, it just kind of opened my eyes and made me a little bit more open to the and I hate to say stories because they're not stories, the experiences that individuals were having in the UFO field that just started bring more of an interest to me. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am. And I sat outside of a old folks home in Franklin, Indiana with my brother-in-law. We were waiting on my wife and son to get there. We were doing the paper route back in the day. It was a motor route, and you say paper route, you think when you're a grown-ass man doing a paper route, it was good money.
Yeah, motor routes are pretty good money.
Right.
But you got to get up at the crack of dawn and take care of business. So I'm not a morning person.
Me either, unfortunately, and I still have to get up early. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. We sat there in the bed of my truck when I had the truck and watched 3 UFOs in the sky for a good 20-25 minutes. And the reason I don't, they weren't satellites, they weren't in a straight trajectory, but these lights, they would shoot up really quick, stop, and do a 45-degree reverse, then a 90-degree out, and then come back into the straight trajectory again. And it was just, they were floating around the sky right there forever. And then poof, they were gone. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And, another thing in that area, I saw the triangle lights. So the point triangle or the point light of the triangle was facing to the west, and the two back ones, of course, going to the east. And the reason that it was weird to me is I got to put some chapstick on my old lips. The reason it was weird to me is that in the sky, you could see the back two lights pivot, but the front one stayed where it was. And then after a little bit, it would pivot the other way. And it was in the sky for a good 45 minutes. We went in, it was dusk. It was just about to, the sun was just about to come up. And we went in, had to go into the Walmart to get some cat food because, cats eat. And
damn it.
it came out. Yeah, it came out and the sun was coming up and it was gone. But it was over this big ass cornfield out in the middle of nowhere, up actually in the southern part of Whiteland, Indiana, out in the country. And I didn't think anything more about it. And back in the day, I was a smoker. So I'm hanging out the basement window of the house that we were in, having a square. And I look up in the sky and there's 6 black helicopters going towards that area where I saw those 3 lights. Now, it's little encounters like that it didn't start happening until I met you. I mean, honestly, and
dude, that happens. I mean, I kid you not. I can't tell you how many people that I have heard from experiencers who've said, all my friends, they've all seen it because ever since they started hanging out with me, all kinds of weird shit started happening to them. Yeah. And even me too. Like the gal in the apartment complex, Bridget, my friend Bridget, I tell you how I met her. This is fitting. We were both single moms. I lived downstairs in the apartment. She lived upstairs in the apartment. I had a date coming to my apartment that night. Okay. Which I didn't have a lot of them, but I had a date coming to my apartment, and our apartments were a little bitty. And he came over and I had to go to the bathroom all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And not the quick kind.
You had to take a poo-poo.
I went upstairs and I knocked on her door and I said, I hate to bother you, but I have a date downstairs and I have to poop. She's like, girl, come on in. And that's how we met. God love her. She turned out to be we're still friends to this day. It's been years and years, decades. But anyway, 2 single moms, and we're all just trying to live the life. But she eventually found out about the weird stuff that had been happening to me. And I had a couple strange things happen to me in the apartment. And she was talking to me one day and she's like, girl, she had come downstairs to tell me that the night before, asking me what kind of weird shit I was doing in my apartment because her railing on her little deck patio upstairs rattled really bad all night long, and it scared the shit out of her, and she couldn't figure out why it was doing that. And then she started thinking about me downstairs. And then she had a dream a few days before that where these 2 little, she said they were like gnomes, but they had black capes with hoods on them covering most of their face, and they were standing at the front of her bed. And she said, I never had dreams like that. or weird shit happened to me in this apartment. I never had any of that happen until you moved in here, and I'm like, sorry. It's like I'm a
Oops.
magnet for the weird stuff. But so yeah, I mean, well, and I mean, I have other friends. We're gonna try to get one of my lifelong BFF here on the show as a guest. I've known her since seventh grade. I was in seventh, she was in eighth, and I mean, she has had some strange stuff happen to her too, and she's witnessed strange stuff happen to me. So, and that's why we're gonna get her on here. She's gonna be sitting next to me. I got to go buy a splitter for our headset. But we're gonna
Yeah,
have her on here as a guest. That'll be a good show.
that will be a good show.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think you need to get your UFO people and get together and get a production studio. Hey, let's put something together to pitch to a studio. Netflix,
Yeah, sure.
bring it.
Hey,
You
they're
know,
doing all kinds of stuff right now. I mean, Netflix, Hulu, all those. It's kind of a thing.
yeah. Well,
And
it's funny because it ebb and flows. It was paranormal for a long time, and then the UFO stuff is starting to build up. And you watch in 5 years, it'll go back and ebb back to paranormal stuff, and it's like you're in Hawaii riding a pipeline.
but it's so. I think they run hand in hand, though. I think they're somehow connected, and then a lot of people who've experienced paranormal stuff have seen UFOs. A lot of people who've seen UFOs experience paranormal stuff. Uh, but you don't see a lot of people that have never experienced anything. I think they're the minority. My attitude at this point in life, and after hearing all the things I've heard from everybody, is if you don't have a story, you haven't been paying attention,
Right.
because there's shit happening all around us all the time, and sometimes all you got to do is look up or just happen to notice. I
Yeah.
I probably missed. I don't. I probably miss weird stuff every day because I'm really. I life has a way of distracting you.
It does.
When you have shit you have to do, and you got to get bills done, you got to get bills paid, you got to do this, you got to do that, and it kind of pulls your attention away from what's going on around you. You're all inside yourself in your own head doing things. When you get
Right.
out of your head and into the world, then you start to see exactly what's going on around you. I mean, a little bit of it. I think that we can only perceive just a small sliver of what's actually really going on around us. And that's just because we're limited by our brain,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the head. Is that the majority of people are so inside their own heads,
Hmm.
got these stressors and whatnot that are going on, that sometimes it is really hard to stop and, cliche moment, smell the roses,
Yeah.
uh, and see what is actually going on around you. Uh, and it's I noticed here lately because I started getting more back into the paranormal field, slowly easing my way back in, doing things and whatnot. And as soon as I started back into that, I started noticing things weird going on around the house.
Oh my God, don't tell Dee.
I know, right? Shh. Shh.
She won't let you hang out with me anymore.
Okay. Right? Yeah. I mean, for those that I know, I've mentioned it before, but this being our, comeback like Rocky, the wife doesn't want anything to do with paranormal, nothing, and I can respect that. I'm good with that. But yeah, I mean, it's weird that getting back into it and kind of, like, I guess you actually open yourself up more to it, because I do think that there is a subconscious mental block that explains things away. So it's like, okay, yeah, well, something shifted or whatever, or the cat knocked something over, or the dog made a noise, or in reality, it's something entirely different from what you're trying to explain to yourself and explain it away. So I don't know, kind of weird. So what else did you do at this expo this weekend?
Well, I gave a talk, and I participated in a panel of
Yeah.
other. I do this weekly vlog, I guess, vlogcast. It's on Facebook and YouTube,
Hmm.
called The Voices of Contact.
Hmm.
And I do it with Mary Bassett. She's a hypnotherapist and a medium and an experiencer. And Michael Carter, who's a reverend. He's also an experiencer. Who I met him years ago at Bud's studio, way back in the day, and you might see him on Ancient Aliens a lot now. He has a regular spot on there. And then
Okay.
Deb and R.J. DeRouse, they have uh, they have a really beautiful metaphysical shop there up in Houghton Lake. I didn't get to go inside of it, but we drove past it, and they had a bunch of their stuff at the conference. Next time I go up there, then they've actually asked me if I would come back and speak again next year. Um,
Nice.
so when I go up there again, I hopefully we'll get to go inside and check it out. Of course, they were really busy, putting this conference on,
Right.
and got some books sold, and met some new friends, met some people that I knew from Facebook and the internet in real life now, and that's always fun, you know. Nice.
Right.
I did. Everybody was so nice, and
Good.
the uh, I wanted to spend more time outside. They had a like a sky watch on Saturday night, but the wind turned and it was really cold blowing off the lake, so I didn't stay out as long as a lot of the other folks did.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And then the guy was playing the theremin. That was cool. It kind of gave it a surreal kind of feeling, And there were some people there that saw some stuff. I didn't see anything. I wasn't out there that long, but I guess every year every year that they've done this and they have the Skywatch, people see things. So, and I guess one of the fellas there, he's a friend of mine. His name is Bill Konkoleski. I guess last year was when he was there. He might have even been snatched right from the conference for a few hours. No one could find him, and that's happened before. It was out in I think it was in Catalina Island in California out there during a conference. A whole bunch of people were abducted from the conference that night. I mean, I've heard that before. Yeah, I've heard that before. And you know what? You get a feeling when you're there, when you're talking to people, you almost feel like someone else is listening, like you're not alone there. And it's not in a scary, paranoid, weird kind of way or anything like that. But just
Right. Yeah.
you just feel like
You're not
somebody's
alone.
there, just paying attention, which is cool.
Well, I
I
mean,
just
how many times have we talked UFOs on the show in the past? And every time we started talking UFOs in the past, something started happening technically.
Oh my gosh. And when I first started on the Voices of Contact, like the first show that I did with these guys, and Mike lives in North Carolina and I live in Indiana. Okay. Well, first Mike's power goes out and it kills his internet and he just drops right off the show. And it's like, oh Lord, Mike's gone. And he's texting Mary, and Mary's like, he'll be back. He's got to reboot, Then he comes back on and he's telling us his power went out and he doesn't know why. The weather's fine. And, then literally like 15 minutes later, the same exact thing happens to me. Our power here goes out at home for no reason whatsoever. Briefly, a thump. it takes my router down all the way. We had to reboot the entire, you know, internet of my house
Yeah.
and reboot my computer and everything and get back on for no reason. I mean, it wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was there wasn't any storms even near.
Yeah.
So within the period of like 15 minutes, 2 of the 4 hosts on the show had their internet shut down, which is kind of weird. And now 2 of the shows, and I think it was on that show too, and in another show, um, when Mary did the video, I guess they could hear some kind of like Morse code beeping sound in the audio portion of the show. I didn't hear it here, but everybody else heard it. And
Really?
I don't know what it was. And it reminded me of when you and I used to do this. And every now and then we'd get an EVP. And before the show even started, like right after the,
Yep.
the header or whatever you call the
It
incoming music.
was right before the intro.
Oh, yeah.
And it was something about drinking a beer. And I can't remember. I'm gonna have to dig back on the shows and see if I can find it. But it's like, enjoy your beer or your brew or something like that. It was weird. And I mean, and not even that. I mean, all throughout the show, I think that was one of the shows that we had the technical difficulties on, so I might not even have it anymore. But just weird stuff like that all the time. And who was it? I was watching you on that show, or you were on another interview on YouTube, I think it was, and it had 4 or 5 people on it, and one guy kept dropping off. Every time he started to talk, his internet would drop. And so it had the Air Force guy on it that did a lot of the planes and stuff like that.
Dude, I've done a lot of
Oh, I
shows.
can't
I can't remember.
But yeah, I mean,
That was that was one I just recently did, wasn't it, with Lala Bright and was
yes.
there a girl on there and a couple other guys? Yeah. He eventually never did come back. It was John Carpenter who never did make it back. He kept dropping off every time he talked. He's a therapist.
Okay.
Like a shrinky dink. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's weird. I don't know why I got a good solid setup here and my internet is strong and everything. So there's really no reason my computer's pretty new and everything is pretty new actually. So I mean, there's no reason for me but the internet is flaky too, so who knows, but
well, I mean, things are going pretty good because I'm broadcasting from the home studio here on T-Mobile's 5G home internet.
Nice.
So because I live out in the boondocks,
I'm using Xfinity's whatever their super fast shit is.
Their fiber.
I don't know what it is. It's not that. The business stuff. It's not that. My son has that. But.
This internet uses 5G like your phone would.
Hmm.
So it gets the internet from the cell phone tower.
Oh, cool.
Into the modem here, and then of course I got the computer plugged into it. But
it's doing a pretty good job.
Not too bad. Now I have Starlink as well.
You do?
I do. I only use that when I have to right now because it's summer and there's leaves on the tree that's blocking the line of sight. So I'm going to get the extension line, the 150-foot line, and run it from a pole that I have out in the middle of the yard, bury the line, and bring it inside so it'll have better line of sight to the sky. Starlink is good, except for if it has any kind of obstruction. I mean, even a little bit of obstruction will cause a drop in internet, and just like a micro drop. So a millisecond, 2 milliseconds, and then it'll come back on. So I thought, man, it's cheaper. And like I said, I kept it because it's going to get good. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, there's satellites going up in the sky all of the time. But anyway, That's not neither UFO or paranormal. So, uh, tangent,
Yeah, well,
tangent. I
we
did.
need we got to get we got to get we had a pretty good little following before we uh went on hiatus, so we need to get our peeps back.
That's right. And hopefully, it'll come.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of it's just like starting off brand spanking new.
I know, dude, and I forgot to post it. Notice on my Facebook page, man. I need to.
Aw.
Uh, I know, shit. I need to get on there. Is it on YouTube
Yeah,
and
it's on YouTube, Midwest Paratalk Radio on YouTube.
okay.
Also,
Look at
Midwest.
me asking like I'm dumb as hell. I'm on the damn show. Oh my god.
Who
I
am
have
I?
gas. I can't think when I have gas.
You
Am I
know,
embarrassing you?
we've never heard any farts coming through like EVPs, but
Right, that's good. Well, now I have I call it the fart but
the fart button.
yeah, that's what I call the mute button.
The other board that I want to try to get running for the shows has built-in audio effects.
Oh,
So I
like
can
so you can make a fart noise
right, I can push a button on the board and it'll do a
or,
fart sound or
or
applause.
make a you want or a theremin sound.
It could.
Ooh.
Oh no, see, I thought I had a fart. I don't.
God, we sound crazy. I have I told you that I got a bunch of um, uh, recordings of our investigation we did at the house in Kokomo here, and you probably already have most of the stuff because I think the CD that she gave me is the one we gave her. You know, when we did the reveal of her investigation. But at least I got that stuff back. I've got some stuff, so
Well, I've got let's see, the one EVP from the house we did in Franklin Township. I've got some stuff from the Rhodes Hotel, and just like I got my very first EVP that I ever got. I got the audio for that. I'm gonna have to go through and my junk drawer here. I call it my junk drawer. It's a small filing cabinet holding up the end of my desk. There's more shit inside of that thing that I've never used anything out of there in probably 2 years, but I keep just because I'm a hoarder. So I know those those CDs are in there. So I'm going to pull those out and I'm going to get some more loaded up. But I did get some EVPs loaded up.
do I have to load EVPs in here to play them?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you
How
can
do I
definitely
do that?
click on brand there in the studio.
Okay.
And then scroll down towards the bottom and you'll see where it says background music.
Oh yeah.
Scroll all the way down on that and you'll see where it says add files. I have a little check mark there or a plus mark
Oh,
there.
you got all the you got yeah. Okay, cool. You already got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. One thing I do want to play a couple tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I was going
Um,
to ask you.
the one I think that I'd like to play the first one that I got from Step Cemetery. Now, Step Cemetery is a an old cemetery in Morgan Monroe State Park in Martinsville, Indiana. And I don't want to get it confused with the 100 Step Cemetery, which is in Terre Haute. But Step Cemetery, I think the last person that was buried there was in 92. So it's not an active cemetery, but it's back in the national forest.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we went there during the day. It was Angie Parker, me, and Tyler LaFlemme. He went to the Rhodes Hotel with us when we went there. But there were these two graves that were side by side, and what it was is they were sisters, and they were buried next to each other. And this is in the fall, which is kind of stupid because all the leaves and everything were down. And I don't know, there's timber rattlers out there, and like a dumbass, I'm walking through the brush like it's not a big deal. But I get to these two gravestones, and there are no leaves on them. There's a complete round circle around these two headstones and the coffins. So 6 foot out from the headstone is the first leaf from the tree. And like I said, this is fall. And you know what falls are like here in Indiana.
Yeah.
Leaves everywhere. And I thought that was crazy. So I started to do an audio recording, an EVP session right there. And I'm trying to find it now. Damn it. I had it.
I'm adding a few of my faves.
I think this is it. Watch your ears. This might be a little loud.
Okay.
Make a tree branch crack.
Could you hear that?
Uh-huh.
My very first ever EVP.
Really?
And we got a picture while I was doing that. Angie was taking pictures, and there was like a diamond illuminated, for lack of better terms, orb. And for you paranormal, forgive me. I thought that was really interesting because it was going on as I was doing this EVP session. But we debunked that with being lens flare from the Sony camera that I was using. Apparently, that Sony camera is infamous for showing that kind of light anomaly because of the way that the shutter on the camera worked.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it was that long ago, people, that it was a shutter on the camera and not digital.
I bought I'm up here some of my favorite ones. The one that says I got a pink shirt. That was one I got at the Asher Walton house. That was the last investigation that I have ever done.
Really?
And it was a child, and I want to play it and see if you can hear the child's voice. Is that okay?
Yeah, ready? Fire away.
Okay.
Big signal. Oh, shit.
I got a pink shirt.
Yeah. You can keep asking, are you a female? It's real faint, but it says, and it's a kid's voice, and it says, I got a pink shirt. Can you hear it?
I hear that.
Maybe you can bump it. Maybe you can bump it up, that part louder with your little stuff later, if you can download it off of here.
For sure.
Because that was a really good one. And then this one, I'm going to play the High Ginger one. I just can't stand it. It's my favorite one. That was an investigation. Were you with us when we went on that one? Okay, it was a private home in north part of Indianapolis. And one of their major complaints was that they had a little girl run around the house at night in the hallways and up and down the stairs upstairs that would wake them up. And they didn't have a little girl in the family. And so we set the cameras up, and we had our recorders everywhere. We had our base station set up outside. And it was when I was with the group MRIPA, and it's a good group. They got some really good stuff. Mm-hmm. And we have this particular EVP was also captured on the video camera. And we have the video. I have the video camera where you see the dog come into the room and lay down by the table. And then you can see the recorder on the table, and it records the EVP as well. So we have 2 recordings of this EVP, one from the video camera and maybe even more. I know I had this is a copy that was on my recorder. And the most phenomenal part of it all was that the dog's name was Ginger, which I did not even know until after when we were reviewing the audio. And I'm like, oh, shit. That was cool. This is one of the best EVPs I've ever heard. Ready?
Yep.
Is it playing?
It is. There it is. Wow.
Yeah. That was the dog's name. And it sounds like a little girl that says, "Hi, Ginger."
Right. Yeah. That
I mean,
was a little girl.
there's
Yeah.
no pareidolia going on there, or whatever however they say it.
Wow. Hold on. Let's do the one from Franklin.
The
hello, everybody.
Oh my God.
Why is the walkie going off right now?
My favorite part is when Angie goes, and then I'm right behind her going,
Right. That was a good investigation.
oh my God. And that happened at like 3 a.m. Like we were wrapping it up, ready to go home. And, and it was like, we had all the walkies out on the table, ready to pack them in. And then the shit started happening there. I have, right before that, I have a recording as well. It's in this mess somewhere. That the mics were keying, and we heard a man's voice, but it was chopped up in the key, and then we could hear the little girl talking, and I think Ange picks up the mic and says, "Say again," or something like that. And that was amazing. Let's see. I got so many good ones, but EVPs is collecting EVPs has been my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
To me, now tell me what you think. I don't care too much for the shack hacks. You know what I mean? The Ovilus, or what do they call them? The Oculus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care too much for all that loud noise and, skipping through channels and stuff. We got a couple of interesting things, but my favorite EVPs are the ones where I just caught them on my little stereo handheld. Was it a Zoom?
Yep.
And one Zoom stereo, handheld recorder, because it's real quiet and real sensitive, and it's so much easier on your head when you're reviewing the audio. Instead of all that, it's like, oh my God, please.
We got
6 hours of that shit is annoying.
We got some really good responses with the Radio Hack Shack Spirit Box. But like you said, I mean, after listening to so much anyway, because I mean, you figure, for those of you who don't know, you've got at least, depending on how big the location is, you can have up to 10 different digital voice recorders, and you're running those digital voice recorders all night long. So say you do an 8-hour EVP session and you've got 10 recorders, you have 80 hours of audio to listen to. So if you're listening to that thing going, bitch, shut up, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Jesus. And by the end of it, you have a migraine. You are done.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's over with. So I agree with you. I like the straight up EVP sessions. I mean, even like I told the guys at Bips, it's like, I don't need the fancy equipment to do an investigation. I can go in with a camera, a digital recorder, a notepad, and a pen, and I can come out with just as much evidence as anyone that could do an investigation could come out with using everything else. And keeping it simple is kind of the way that I think you can get some of the best evidence, especially audio.
Yeah.
I remember being at the Crump Theater and it was you, Wes, and me center stage. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And we saw that body jump up out of that chair and run around the corner. And it wasn't probably 10 seconds later, whoever was at base command said, "Hey, can you guys go up and check this camera? It just moved."
Yep. I
You know,
remember that.
so which goes back to, I mean, even your eyes. And I think a lot of paranormal investigators have a problem with having a mindset of, I have to change your view on the paranormal to make you think that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have experiences like that, even with the voice recorder, the camera, then, write down what you see and what you hear, visually is also the most exciting for me. I will say though, at Astrid's house, when we had that full body apparition come around the corner, peek at us, and run away, that
Yeah.
was that was pretty spectacular in itself.
You're awesome.
But I do have the Jason EVP. I found that. I think it's this one. I'm gonna play this one. I love that because he's like, yeah, I mean, I was walking up the stairs and I saw these little legs run by me on the landing. And right after that, there's two parts to that EVP. I only got that first part, but he's like, yeah, and I went against the wall. And I was like, freaked out. And the little voice goes, freak out. Dun, 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
Right after that, in another EVP, Deb and I were talking while this was going on in the hall before we went to see Jason. We were setting something up. I just listened to this. I'm going to have to find it. I don't know which one it is, actually. I'm going to have to label these a little better. But you can hear little feet because it was wood floor.
Right.
And you can hear little pitter patter of feet running up the hall to where we were and then just kind of stop. And then right after that, he's like, Greg, come and get me. That was hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, that was a pretty good investigation. They're still doing that, right?
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, I was going to mention to you, I had mentioned to BIPS, the Boonville, Indiana Paranormal Society. It's a group that I've been working with, member of now. I brought to their attention the Rhodes Hotel. I think we might be talking about it at the next meeting. But if we do go to Rhodes, I'll hit you up. I'll have you come out because I told them that I was wanted to bring Corey, and then I had you up in Kokomo that I kind of wanted you to go to the Davies house with us and to the Rhodes Hotel with us while we were up there. So when I get that all worked out, I'll holler at you and we'll set it up.
Yeah, that'd be cool because I haven't done that for a long, long time. Like I said, the Asher Walton place that was also up there. It's like a block over from the Rhodes.
Yeah,
that was a good place too. And I don't know, they might still as well do investigations and stuff. I think they still do.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, if this is something that they don't want to do, actually, I think it would be a good idea. Maybe you and we can put some people together. I'm sure that we could get Ange to go. I'm sure that we could. I think Marnie is still part of that paranormal team that does the Rhodes Hotel, that owns the hotel. And we can get a couple more people. Maybe we just go up there for an impromptu investigation. I mean, I have to work on, we don't have the DVR system really anymore. I have to work on it. The board on it's bad.
Oh, so yeah.
I have to replace that.
I don't have one. I have a DVD player. I have the DVR on my security camera, but I'm not.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, even if we go in there with just digital recorders and cameras, and I mean, I think that at that point we can. I mean, we can get evidence. I mean, come on, you and I walk into damn Walmart with a digital recorder and come out with 10 EVPs.
I know, right? You don't have to have. You don't have to. It don't have to be the middle of the night. It don't have to be anywhere weird. It can be
Anywhere.
anytime, day or night. For real. It doesn't have to be, at 2 a.m. or any of that stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. And even if it's not the roads, if we want to do that other one, I mean, I'm not really particular, head dead set on one or the other, just, whichever one that we can kind of work out. I think we ought to do that. And then, I don't know, maybe try to broadcast live.
That would be cool.
Of it, you know what I mean? I mean, have a
Uh-huh.
live feed going on the entire time, but then maybe doing some recording as we do investigations, and people can watch like a live stream and be like, hey, I saw such and such over in the left corner of the hall closet, or some kind of stuff. I think that would be pretty.
Yeah, I have and I have an idea for another for a couple of more shows that we want to maybe talk about doing here in the near future. I have a friend that I told you about, Jim Lowe. He's my fellow serial member. He was an attorney for like 40 years for the city of San Diego. I mean, he's smart as a whip. He's currently working his tail end off with this disclosure stuff, writing and writing like little booklets to send them to all the politicians in Washington, D.C. I thought it would be fun to have him come on and talk about, the whole disclosure thing, because I don't know anybody that knows any more about it than Jim. And
yeah. I'm totally in for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he even offered it. I'm like, that would be so awesome. So we'll have to get with him. We got to get with you and get a date that works. And he's out in California, so you have to send him a link and we'll bring him on.
Okay.
And, also, I've had a lot of questions about the Kokomo boom recently. And I was not only was I a witness to it, but I also was ended up being one of the MUFON investigators for it. I had already, retired myself out of MUFON when the boom happened, but then Jerry Sievers kind of coaxed me back in. He's like, "Oh my God, you're like right up there. You were one of my best investigators, and now you're a witness too. I mean, this you've got to, come in and help." And I'm like, okay. So I've got lots of interesting audio that I recorded from the police scanner. It's all public knowledge, or it was, that shows that the police were doing something that they didn't own up to for the public. I mean, I have audio recording directly from the police scanner officer saying, "I am at the only known debris site, aircraft down," and all this other stuff. And I say a police officer whom we trust for our safety ought to be trained well enough to know the difference between a cornfield and a plane crash. And if this police officer is saying he's at the only known debris site and he could see debris from a plane crash or some kind of crash, I'm going to take his word for it. And yet, the public was told by the powers that be that, oh, it wasn't a plane crash after all. One of our young pilots we were in a training exercise and he got his foot into the throttle and he broke the sound barrier. He wasn't supposed to. He got in trouble. It's over with. It's done with. Bye. I've got audio of the police captain talking to somebody else saying that they had called Grissom and that Grissom had pulled all their jets out of the air. The last jet was on the ground 30 minutes before the boom hit. It was not them.
Right.
But they lied and they said this shit on the local news and the radio stations and everybody else, and people just, oh, okay, well then, but no, it's not okay. That was never true. And I've been trying to tell people that since 2008, and so I thought it would be interesting. I've got all kinds of articles that we can pop up on the screen, different media, local and national, and then all those audio recording clips of the police scanner and stuff. I just thought it might be interesting for people to see a little something about that Kokomo boom, because 149 people, or give or take a couple, called the police that night.
Right.
And that's a lot of people. And then the thing was heard in 3 counties.
Yeah.
Sonic booms are very directional, and you have to be in the right place at the right time to hear it.
Right.
It ain't going to scatter out over 3 counties.
No,
that's
not
some bullshit. And regular people don't know that until someone tells them, look it up.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, you and I'll start working on putting together, getting the articles and whatnot into the software here. And then I'm going to have to teach myself how to bring those up so everybody can see them. And
we're a work in progress, but I swear to God, one of these days we're going to get it all.
Right.
We're gonna have it all together, and it's going to be great.
Come on. This is only our second show using this software, so I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think we're doing real good because I'm dumb as hell. You're the technical guy. I'm the pretty face.
There you go.
No, what I used to say, I have the perfect face for radio. That's why our show in the beginning was just audio for years. Yeah. And it was so great because I could lay back and, my hair looked like shit and I had my pajamas on and I was so comfortable. And now I got to comb my hair and everything. Dang.
Dang it.
But that's okay. That's all right. I want people to come and listen to us, Sometimes, look, folks, sometimes this is all we do. We just sit and shoot the shit. We talk about the stuff that we heard and we muse and we throw our own opinions out there. Just remember that most of what we talk about is our opinion, and that doesn't, like I always say, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about every single thing I ever thought in my life because, they say I'm in Mensa, but I have done some dumb shit in my life. So I don't know that I even trust those tests. But,
well, yeah.
So this is, sometimes we do this, sometimes we have guests, sometimes we pick a subject, sometimes we're just chilling. We're getting our sea legs back, so hang in there with us. A lot of times we have fun too. We have fun. We just crack up and whatnot.
95% of the time is us shooting from the hip anyway. So
we're kind of like Bob and Tom in the morning. You know how they most of it's talk radio, and every now and then they have a funny guest in, or they run a clip, or Here Come the Mummies comes in studio. Oh, I love them. Maybe we could get them in studio one day.
That would be
nice. Wouldn't that be awesome? If we could get Here Come the Mummy to play on our our show. Oh my God.
That would be cool. Now, they're located though in the Kokomo area, right? Are they all over?
No, I don't know. I used to see them in the Vogue in Indy, and I know they've been at Q95. They played a lot of stuff, but I don't know if they're Indy or they're all over. I think they're kind of maybe all over. They travel all over. Kokomo, I don't know. They really must love us because they come to the Kokomo Haynes Apperson Festival almost every year, and the show's free. Now, if you want to pay, it's free. If you want to pay $20, you can sit in the first 20 rows in front of the stage, but everywhere else is free. They put on the most fantastic free show at the Haynes Apperson Festival every 4th of July weekend right here in Kokomo. I mean, I've lived here 30 years, and they've come probably of that 30 years ever since Haynes Apperson. I bet that I've been seeing them there for the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's free. I mean, I know people that pay $20, $30, $40 to get tickets to go see them in concert in other places, and I get to see them for free. For free. I
That's
love them. Let your freak flag fly. That's my
there you go.
theme song right there, man.
Right, right.
We should use that as our intro.
Let your freak flag fly.
Uh-huh.
I
Have
don't
you
know
ever
that
heard?
I
I
can put that
love
in
that.
audio without stumbling all over myself. Let your freak flag fly. Oh hell no. I'll let you do that voiceover.
I could say it.
Yeah.
Even with my dentures, I can say it. Let your freak flag fly. Woo!
There you go. I'm gonna take that recording off of the audio and put that into an intro.
Oh Lord.
Have mercy. Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, we have some, she has some ideas about bringing people on. I'm going to try and start reaching out to some more paranormal peeps and maybe try to have them on as well. But, like I said, 95% of the time it's Deb and I shooting from the hip and talking about whatever floated our boat that week at the time. I did enjoy the encounters discussion. I do think that lady at the end was a dummy and full of shit. But
that was kind of weird there. Yeah. I don't know how that fit in.
I don't know what they were going for there. I
I
did
don't
like
either.
the monk. I enjoyed his story.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell. I mean, and I'm thinking as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, and I'm pointing to my TV because you can't see it, but I'm thinking to myself, what would he have to gain for lying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's a monk, for crying out loud. He lives in a monastery. Why? What would possess him to spin a tale? I mean, he didn't get. I'm sure they might have got a little bit of cheddar out of doing the episode, but not enough to warrant fabricating an entire story.
Right.
Whereas I felt like the lady there at the end, she was complete wackadoodle and she was completely lying from the first time. I mean, you can look at her eyes. She never looked at the camera directly, but like maybe once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
She was always diverting and moving. I mean, it's like, God, she's a liar.
Yeah. I mean, I just didn't. I didn't understand her presence in this episode. It just didn't make sense to me. But then that's just me. Sometimes I don't make sense to me either.
I don't know. I mean, I make quite a bit of sense to myself. It's just to everyone else that can't understand me.
Yeah, but if you get a chance to watch that, you definitely should check it out. I mean, especially the first two, episode 1 and 2, about the two
Yes.
big UFO cases over in the UK. Like I said, my buddy Chris Fowler, he gets a mention at the end for credits. He was one of the contributors there, to
Right.
it with that dude. He's Welsh. He's over in the UK, and he has so much knowledge and information about stuff. He came over here during the early 90s and was hanging around down at Pensacola Beach when I was down there with the research group down there after the Ed Walters thing, became public. I spent some time out on that beach in Pensacola and I saw some stuff. So,
Nice.
and Chris was down there too. Dude gets around. And he makes a mean chili sauce, man. He said he has sent me some of his chili sauce. He grows chili peppers and
Yeah.
he makes sauces that he sells. Oh my God. That stuff's busted, man.
Wow.
My granddaughter laughs at me when I say stuff slaps or stuff's busting. She's like, Grandma. And I'm like, what?
You're old. You're not
I
supposed
can't
to.
help it if I'm the cool grandma.
Right.
Because it slaps, man. It's fire. It's good shit.
Grandma. Well, all right, guys, we are at the top of the hour, actually a little bit past, but we were having fun. Listen, you can go over to Midwest Paratalk Radio on YouTube and watch our videos and us acting a fool. You can also go to the MidwestParatalkRadio.com website. The studio is there. We have a free chat box up in that studio, as well as the link for YouTube and the link for Live 65. You can listen to us live on Live 365. Just search Midwest Paratalk Radio there. Also, on the store page, if you click on the NPR banner there at the top, it'll take you to the Cafe Press Midwest Paratalk Radio apparel store. There's a bunch of this shirts and keychains and magnets and I don't know, toilet paper. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And also on that page, though, you can and actually I need to link the second book. I think no, your book is out there. You have a second book that I think I need to add on there. Either way, you can click on Deb's book there. You can purchase it there. It's a direct link to Amazon. And, if not, just go to Amazon and buy her book. What else? We will be back next Thursday evening, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on Midwest Paratalk Radio and on YouTube. And you guys subscribe and click the bell notification and comment. If you have any questions or anything of that, whatever, you can email me at gcable@midwestparatalkradio.com. Suggestions, you want to come on and tell us your experience, paranormal, UFO, crypto. I feel there's going to be a Bigfoot episode coming up soon because I want to talk about Bigfoot.
And hang out with us in the chat room, man. If you have a question, you can always drop it in the chat and we'll hit you right then.
That's right. And that's either on, like I said, we have two chats, one on YouTube and one in the MidwestParatalkRadio.com webpage in the studio section. But be glad to answer any questions or concerns, or like I said, if you want to come on and talk about your story, hell, we can do that too. And we've got some good shows coming up for you guys in the future. We've got a couple coming up, a couple friends for Deb here because, she has friends.
I know it's people's.
And Astrid is the one that we did the investigation for. And I was just talking about that investigation the other day about how the Indian was superimposed on her little buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and she mentioned that too. That blew her mind. So that stuck with her. Yeah. She's looking forward to coming on and talking with us about her investigation that night. So
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we're out of here. You guys come back next week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central here on Midwest Paratalk Radio. And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging out with Midwest Paratalk Radio tonight. Remember, you can catch us every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central.